Okay, my friends, let's just start right with what the thumbnail was. And this guy here, I say, was alive at one time, and that is a tendon strap that runs down the front of the leg. And look at this little section here, and then this strap runs down, and all the red flesh behind it, which I say is muscle. Well, let's look if we can find anything else about that. Let's see what we got about that. Well, that looks pretty close to me. That looks pretty close to me. And that little area up there, that pocket area that I showed you. Now, what else? Do we have any other things that show that that particular guy was alive? Well, his shoulder up here might give us an indication. Let's look at that. That's his shoulder. That's him up there. His head has a piece of rebar in it. I'll show you that in a second. They tried to fix him. This is his shoulder. Now, this is his arm is broken right off. This is his armpit. And you see these little ball areas here? That's where tendons lock in and go out to the muscles, which make your arms go back and forth. And I can show you, I have some very, very detailed anatomical renderings of this. And these are nothing more than the different intertwining muscles and so forth, that tendons that run down your shoulder. Now, they did something to solidify this. I don't know what they did, but Ovid talks about this. But here's the problem. This is where it really gets interesting. This, apparently they claim, this is their claims, all this was commissioned to be done like in the 1500s. Now, Ovid wrote about this being done. The gods were having fun creating these things, just having a good time, making them up, turn them into landscape. And I show you what he wrote. And that was at the turn of the millennium of the first, it was like 0 of the modern era. So this, if it was done in 1500, it means these people, whoever could do it, are still around. Because I'm telling you right now, that is nothing but that was a creature's body. I'm absolutely 100% certain. If anybody can prove it's not, I'd love to hear it. Now, if these statues, and I'm 100% certain they are biological, and I know they can be proven to be biological if somebody would just go and do the work. This goes back to 8 CE, and this is Ovid. He was the most prolific writer at that time, and his works were running all like parallel to the Bible. They both had about as much the same following, because he was talking about the ancient myths. He had 250 myths, the things that nobody wants to talk about, the things that seem just incredibly insane. However, I have found out these are not insane, these are real. Now, here's what he always started out as, well, the first thing he puts in his opus, his huge, huge work. He starts it right off by saying metamorphoses. That's transformation. That's changing something. It's a theme throughout all of his works. He raises its significance explicitly in the opening lines of his work. He says, I intend to speak of forms changed into new entities. Accompanying this theme is often violence inflicted upon a victim whose transformation becomes part of the natural landscape. This is Ovid. He's writing what they had written in the ancient texts. This theme amalgamates the much explored opposition between the hunter and the hunted, and the tension between art and nature. They wanted to do this. They did it for fun, to make gardens so they could walk around and look at all these things. There's a great variety amongst the types of transformation. Now listen to this. From humans to inanimate objects like the Nile River, constellations, animals. From animals like ants to fungus to mushrooms to humans, to hyenas to pebbles. Metamorphoses themselves are often located metatextually within the work. And then it goes on to say, well, we don't really know if he's really meant this stuff. He was just sort of making it up. I found out, no, this is true. And if you read Appolodorus, well, I can't say it's 100% true, but I'm saying I found a lot of stuff that supports this, just as you said. As you just saw, they had turned these statues, these creatures into statues. I don't know how. I have no idea. But if it was just done recently in the 1500s, that is, because this is Bombarzo Park, that's where I was looking, because they say it was done, I think, 1527. Some guy commissioned it. We'll have to look it up. Hold on a second. Okay, been showing us for a while now, a long time, that these statues had bodies inside of them, and now the experts are starting to agree. Where was it? Instead, the experts say now Egyptians intended to turn their pharaohs into statues, works of art with religious significance. Well, I've been showing this for quite some time, but they weren't like this. They weren't mummies like this. They were real statues, and very nicely done too, as I will show you. All right, let's look at two things here. Here's the shoulder. There's his armpit, and this is where the arm would have come down, and the muscles and the tendons would have come down to make your arm be able to do all those kind of things. This is inside, the red flesh up against his cheek area. They put some rebar in here and his ear and so forth, and some white plaster. I don't know when, to try to fix it. And it's just they did a sloppy job. And of course the rust expands and it just falls apart. This was a whole different process. See it back up here? This was all original up to here. And then they tried to fix it. All right, now this apparently wasn't all that long ago. It's photography. And there he was standing there, and now he's obviously completely eroded away. The dish is gone and all that stuff. Who carved him and how he got standing on the edge of the cliff like that? Was that carved? I don't think so. I think that was obviously a petrified creature. How they did it, when they did it, I don't know. They're saying 1500s. Well, could be. That means that's a profound thing if it's true. Because Ovid's talking about them in the past, in the 500 BC era, doing that kind of stuff for fun. I'm going to read to you right now what Ovid said about this. Okay, I'd like to give a shout out to this channel right here at Walk and Dream. And this is Bombarzo 2022, Walk in the Monsters Park, to feel the mixture of art and magic. Well, this is what Ovid was talking about, and I give him a shout out, and I'm going to use some of the clips in here and show the anatomical stuff in here and all the red blood coming out of here as well. And that's literally an anus. I'm telling you, it's just hard to believe. But this was supposedly commissioned in 1522 or 1552. Here's what it says here. Il Sacro Bosco of Bombarzo, known to most as the Monster Park, is one of the most evocative and enigmatic places in Italy. Immersed in a forest at the foot of Mount Cremino, the monumental garden was commissioned to the great Neapolitan architect Piero Ligorio by Prince Pier Francesco Orsini, known as Vincino, in 1552. Prince Orsini, a man of arms and intellect, cultured and great scholar of alchemy, that's interesting, made the work in memory of his late wife, Giulia Franice. All right, you should come up and watch this whole thing. I'm just going to show you, and it's, like I say, Walk and Dream, Bombarzo 2022, Walk in a Monster Park. Now, again, if this happened in 1522, that means the people that were doing them when Ovid was around are still around. That's all I can say. Or he just dug them up somewhere and put them in place. But although I'm telling you, I still think there's a lot of thinking to do about this. Just let me put it that way. If these people had these kind of powers, that's just incredible. And if they were still here in 1500s, that's just beyond incredible. Okay, these are the kind of tendon balls that are everywhere in your body. Wherever something locks in and anchors, you have one of these balls, and then these little straps run out, and it transitions from the balls into the straps, and then into another, like, you see how it's showing yellow, red, green? They do that, they go right along like that. They're abrupt transitions, and they're very straight across. They're not locked in like that, they're just like that. Okay, my outstanding friends, I've been claiming for a long time that these creatures were inside of statues, and they were petrified. Now, I didn't know when, but there's claims made that these things were, a lot of them were done in 1552, somewhere around there. In Italy, there's a park of monsters. Well, this, I'm not sure where this is. It's called Statue del Gigante, I believe. And originally it was holding up a big dish and all this, and it's just all falling apart. But what you see here, you see this white strap running down here? And this right here? That's the guy's kneecap, attached to the strap that makes your leg to be able to move. This is all the muscle and underneath. Now somehow they coated the thing, like petrified it as a, and locked it in position. Of course, over a course of time, it's deteriorated. Now, was this done in 1500? I don't know. Ovid talks about them being done in the BC era. Now, well, look at this tendon. Just be careful you understand what you're looking at. There's the tendon. You want to see a tendon? Here's a tendon. I got a tendon for you. You want a tendon? We got your tendon right here. You see that? Right there. Same thing. That's his kneecap. You saw it. What it is what it is. Now, how it happened and when it happened, I don't know. But here's this guy. Look at his armpit. This is all, that's like muscle and tendons and all that. And he's even got these little anchors in his armpit. And then it comes out to the tendon, which attaches to the muscles. And all these are bundles of muscle and tendon. And I have some pretty good shots of that. Now, you see this here? They put rebar to try to fix them and plastered it up with this white plaster. It all just fell apart. I don't know how long ago they did this, but this is the original, and this, they did something to texturize the outside of it and lock it in as creatures. And Ovid says they did this, a lot of it, and they did it just for fun, just to have a good time. Now here's his shoulder right here. You see this? Look at this. There's just all, this is what's all coming down this way, down out of, it's cut right across like that. And you're seeing these bundles. All right, hold on. Okay, let's just finish up with this. Don't forget, there's the red flesh underneath. They tried to fix it. That's why the rebar's in there. That wasn't original. This is the original texture. This is literally biology in here. That's his armpit. And I believe some of these are like anchors for the tendon. There's usually a tendon that comes up to the muscle. Well, there's always a tendon that comes up to the muscle, and then the muscle does the work. And then there's a tendon on the other side where they latch together. So that's his head. Now his leg, I showed you. This is actually his kneecap. That's his kneecap. Now somehow they stabilized this. I don't know how they did it. But that's the tendon that runs down. You see it? This is the tendon right here. This is actually his kneecap right there. And this is red, bloody flesh. It's just, you know, that's what it is. What it is what it is. I didn't do it. All right, and that is what it is. I mean, here's a, here. I can't get, it's not a good shot, hold on. Well, this gives you a better shot. But the other thing I want to show you is that the Bombarzo Park is all of these straps and all of that stuff, this person laying down, and their back is all covered with these tendon straps that run in to hold you together and keep your trunk of your body functioning correctly. I don't have a real good shot of that, unfortunately, in this pictorial, but here's what they look like. You see all these tendons? These are all tendons. They're running through. Somehow they stabilize the tendons, and I don't know how, but I'm telling you right now, I believe that right there is the anus. And this is the buttocks. All right, this is the muscle plates, and these are the tendons. And this is all red flesh down here. I don't have... Well, okay, here we... Well, this should do. That's the buttocks, and all this stuff here is that really fibery stuff. And it ran down the front of the guy's leg, but it also runs up your back. And it crosses across your back like this. And it just makes a mess in your back of fibers, and those are tough as hell. And they are right there. They're the ones that this guy or person or creature or whatever it was laying here has. You see, these are all these tendon fibers. Somehow they force them to lock in position, and I believe that's the anus. And this is bloody interior of whatever coated it. I don't know how they did this. I have no idea. But when they say the guys that did this were alchemists, this is alchemy. Alchemy is chemistry, and it's the ancient knowledge of chemistry that's been lost. It's literally been lost. And you see all this? That's all that tendon. All running up the back, overlapping like this, coming across, running down the back to stabilize you. And then it runs into your muscles. You see how it's coming out this way, that way, over this way. And that's exactly what happens in your body. All right, I showed you what happened at Mudfossil Park there, and that's what happens in your tendons in your back. I mean, they are everywhere. And that's exactly what you see at Mudfossil Park. If all of the fleshy stuff left, and it left all that strappy tendinous stuff, that's what you got.